Canelo Alvarez needs to be stripped of his WBC belt, and before too long, his WBA belt as well. But the WBC belt, that's long overdue now. You've got David Benavidez, who is the interim champion with the WBC, and with the WBA, you've got David Morrell as, I think, interim champion or regular champion, whatever it is. But the best case scenario for me as a boxing fan would be to see David Benavidez, if Canelo continues to avoid these guys, to see David Benavidez fight David Morrell for a vacant belt. Now, I know that David Morrell has been calling out Benavidez. He thinks he can beat Benavidez, and Benavidez doesn't seem that keen on the fight. I can't blame Benavidez at this stage for not wanting to risk his position because he's been mandatory for so long. He's fought people to get to that position. He's earned that spot. Once he becomes champion, obviously I'll be a lot harder on him. I'll expect a lot more from him with regards to who he fights. But as it stands right now, he's worked his way into a mandatory position with the WBC. That's overdue. He should be getting a shot at Canelo. With David Morrell, he hasn't been, as far as I'm aware, in his position as regular champion or interim champion, whatever it is with the WBA, as long as Benavidez has with the WBC. But nevertheless, ideal scenario, Benavidez versus Morrell for some kind of vacant belt. I'd love to see it. And it will be much more difficult then for Canelo Alvarez to continue to make out that he's the king of the division if he's no longer undisputed. It would allow more pressure to be applied to Canelo to fight these guys. As it stands right now, the sanctioning bodies, particularly the WBC, are complicit in aiding and abetting Canelo in ducking his mandatory David Benavidez. This needs to stop. The WBC are the worst culprits in boxing for this stuff. Not that the other sanctioning bodies haven't been guilty of this as well. It's just that the WBC are the most prolific when it comes to placing their favorite champions in the witness protection program. The super middleweight division is being held up by Canelo Alvarez. If it's too hot in the kitchen, get out. Simple. I got no issue with Canelo going off and fighting whoever he wants to. Just free up the belts and allow them to be contested by a couple of other fighters. That's all I'm saying. If Canelo wants to get a payday against Munguia or a payday against Berlanga or whoever else, good luck to him. Just give up the belts, stop stagnating the division, allow Morrell to fight for the full WBA, Benavidez to fight for the full WBC, or for them to fight each other for one of those belts. An even better case scenario, how about both belts become vacant, WBC and WBA, and both sanctioning bodies agree that Benavidez and Morrell should be allowed to fight for these two vacant belts in the one fight. I'd love to see that. We as fans need to apply pressure to Canelo. It's been many years since I've felt the need to apply pressure in whatever little way I can using my YouTube channel. The last time, of course, was when Canelo Alvarez was avoiding Gennady Golovkin. He avoided him for what, at least 2 years? And eventually we did get the fight we wanted to see because the fans applied enough pressure, combined with the fact that Canelo and Oscar De La Hoya saw some weakness, some slippage in Golovkin. They decided to finally bite the bullet and go in that direction and take that guy on. Same has to be done here. We have to apply the pressure. We have to bang the drum. We have to raise the alarm that we've got a champion here who is not living up to his duties. It is brutal at the top of the sport, but that's what you take on when you become a champion. If you don't like that kind of pressure, then maybe it's time for you to retire, because this is what we don't like the idea. Us true boxing fans, we're not fanboys, we don't have a horse in the race, we just want to see the best fights. We do not want to see these fighters sitting on the top of their perch, cherry picking. I don't care what the guy has achieved before. As long as he's a champion, I'm going to hold him up to the standard of a champion. Simple. So anyway, rant over. I'll leave it there. And before I go, I want to give a shout out to all the new subscribers to my Patreon page. I cover loads of different topics in my weekly podcast, as you can see on screen right now, from current events to deep dives down the rabbit hole and everything in between. I'm really enjoying the feedback and the discussions we've been having on there lately. So if you'd like to join the conversation, just click the link in the description box below. Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast, where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.